One, two, three, go. So there's a resume. And I'm going to switch windows over here so I have control of it. And so I can highlight things. So in case you haven't figured it out, nice iconography, the little light green with the pills. Dinana is a drug dealer. No, she's a pharmacist or works somewhere in the pharmacy industry. So she's not really a drug dealer. But Crep Store and anybody else wanting to get your resume reviewed, step one, join our Discord. Step two, put it in our community resume review channel. And then step three, sometimes I get to them, sometimes the community reviews them. Hey, 7th Fleet, good to see you. She's higher in the drug distribution chain. That's right. She is not a pedestrian drug dealer. So a few comments here. I like the clever use of the icon. We've talked about a picture also. It's a way to stand out. So having something that allows your resume to stand out a little, I think is good, to be a little bit memorable. It can be your visual design. And obviously, Dinana is pretty good at that stuff because she's our design artist for the channel, for the emotes. Another artist, Pressure is does our overlays. But I like this. Name and stuff up top. Pharmacist with the endurance to produce excellent results. Ooh. I'm assuming that's a real qualification. And by the way, Geeky Benji, thank you for the sub. And you're very welcome helping you get your project management job and the advice. I really appreciate you, particularly because I know you're coming in, I think, from Europe right now. And so I know it's a little bit late for you. So thank you. Here's to you. What I'm a little concerned about is basically saying my main qualification is I work super hard. I do know pharmacists work long hours. I'd be a little scared of competing for a job based on that as your primary. I got to get to Norway. It's on my list, Geeky. I'll see you there someday. Not anytime soon, unfortunately. So I'd be a little bit worried about endurance as your main qualification. Maybe commitment is a little more neutral. All right. Proven experience in project management. That's good. I like that. Looking for a career in pharmaceutical clinical research. So you're super clear on what you want to do, which I think is nice. And then on your jobs, this is where things didn't go as well for me. You've had a lot of jobs and they're all super short. I guess, well, you graduated a couple years ago. This is even more confusing. Why does the resume end in 2018? Dinana, since you're here, maybe you can explain this part. Like what has been going on since 2018? No job or what? Because we have to handle this. Like this resume is broken to be ending in 2018. Medical leave. Got it. Okay. That's tough. So I'll leave aside the medical leave for a minute because you'd want to address that somehow. People are going to wonder, well, what have you been doing since 2018? But let me talk about the other problem. And by the way, it is a nice resume in the looks department. I agree with that, Pashi. You want to address that some way, but there's a second problem we have to address at the same time, which is the way your dates stack up. It just shouts job hopper. I'll highlight it, right? 2018 to 2018, March to April, so a month. 2018 to 2018, February to March, so also a month. 2017 to December 2017, a month. September to November, like 3 months. August to September a month. And yet, in all these 1 month jobs, you write up significant accomplishments. Regular for pharmacy. So these are internships while you were in college. Is that right, Danana? This is one of the challenges of me. Okay. This is a challenge for me reviewing a resume from a field I don't know. Because in my field, this would be like, oh my God, this person quits jobs every month. You say it's normal for medical. Well, I've seen in a lot of medical resumes in other fields. I would want to condense this somehow because no one really wants to read, I don't think, an entire page about a year of internships. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but an entire page about a single year of internship seems like a lot. And so I would want to give this a little bit of structure and say, what is this? 8 internships over the course of 2 years. I would want to say as a heading, you're silent, T weirdo, but you come from medical also. I know pharmacy is not your thing, but I'd love to see you weigh in on this if you're there, about whether or not this resume looks, what you think of this coming from your angle. But what I would want to do is put a heading up here that said, pharmacy internships as a part of PharmD program. Give it a heading. And then I would list them all with their dates, all on 1 line each. So I wouldn't let this part become 2 lines. I'd say medication therapy management, pharmacist intern, Walgreens, dates. They're all in Colorado. No one's going to care about most of the little towns, whether you're in Vail or Denver or Aurora. So I'd chop that part off to make space, and I'd do 8 internships with the dates real quick. And then I would combine all the things I learned into like a shorter section of what I learned, is my opinion. Now, again, I understand you are in an industry I don't understand. So I wish we had another pharmacist here. Liger's medical on the doctor side, right? He's an MD. I would want to I'm babbling a little because here's what I'm struggling with. This looks like an overwhelming amount of stuff. I almost used a 4-letter word, starts with S. It's an overwhelming amount that doesn't tell me a coherent story. And so what I would be doing is, people hire solutions to their problems. I'd want this to tell a coherent story of some kind. As it is, it looks like a bag of stuff. And you don't want your resume to look like a bag of stuff. You want to somehow turn it into a digestible story of what you did and what you learned. Whereas this is 8 separate things with 8 separate bullets. There's got to be, I don't know how because I'm not an expert in your field, but there's got to be a way to turn it into a more digestible story, not just a chronological brain dump. Because what I really want to know, if I'm considering hiring you as a new pharma graduate, a new pharmacist, is what are you capable of doing and what evidence do I have of it? So I would want to turn it into a story in that way. And we'll get, for anybody who's joining in and watching, we will get to the executive job hunt in a minute. I'm doing, as I always do to open the show, I do a couple of resume reviews. So Danana, I think that needs rework. And then I think here in the work experience, you have somewhat the same. You're intermingling some strange overlapping segments. You worked as a pharma technician in pharma services from 2006 all the way to 14. That's more related to your internships. Then there's some nonprofit things, some marketing internships, some grant proposal. Again, I would try and make it a digestible story. That is the change. I don't think, by the way, Pashi, for a professional resume, sometimes 2 pages is acceptable. For a highly educated person or a highly experienced, it can be. But I agree, it would be interesting as a challenge to Nana to force you to think quickly. How would you write this? If you only could have 1 page, what would you do? I'd love to see the 1-page version of your resume as a way of distilling the importance. I think sometimes 2 pages can be okay, no more. Yeah, well, there you go. You cut out all the stuff. Yeah. This feels padded, even though you are highly educated and you've had a 15-year career. So the last thing we have to close on, and honestly, it goes right into the topic I want to talk about with diversity. I am going to do one other resume, but it goes right into the topic of diversity in a way. How do you address something like medical leave? Because the last thing you want to do is headline your resume with something that some people will read in a bad way, which is sick person, don't hire me. I've been out of work for 2 years. But at the same time, the fact that you haven't been engaged in the workforce for 2 years, you have to find some way to address that. And so I don't know. Moms returning to the workforce is one way to do it, if that's true. There's other ways to do it, but you have to put in something about why you've been out of the workforce. And so even if it's stretching the truth slightly, early corona. Yeah. Well, that's not completely false. Awesome. What I was going to say is, even though it's bending the truth a little bit, I might say, April 2018 or May 2018 to May 2020, caring for a sick relative. Prioritize caring for sick family member. You are your own family member, and no one will ask you about which sick family member you were caring for. And I think caring for a sick family member, Pashi came to the exact same thing, only he's calling it a lie, whereas I've worded it to where it's merely allowing people to assume the wrong thing. So you don't have to flat out lie. You can just say, I was caring for a sick family member. Prioritize caring for a sick family member. So I think we've covered this resume. Danana, if you want to take another spin at it, I'd be happy to revisit it another show.